That's a sample of how business leaders felt. In that film was John Elliott from EBAC at Bishop Auckland. John joins us now. How do you feel the government performed with the pre-budget report?
Pretty poorly, actually. I think we're still not looking at the fundamental problem. We're dealing with the symptoms, not the disease. And the problem is we've spent too much money between us. So there's two things we can do. Either spend less or we can produce more. We've been spending more than we make, spending more than we earn. The supply side hasn't been in step with the demand side. We've got to get those back in balance. And the Bank of England, the FSA and the Treasury have failed miserably in managing our money.
Okay, John, thanks. Helen, welcome to the show. You're at the heart of government. What was the government's central message coming through from the pre-budget report?
Well, I think what John says is only half right. I think the truth is that individuals as consumers have spent a lot, and that's why people, for example, have very big mortgages at the moment or very big credit card bills. And that obviously is facing a severe contraction. And it is precisely because people on an individual level are pulling back, are retrenching, that the government has to step in and borrow more. Because if the government doesn't step in and borrow more, then we will see a collapse in British industry and British manufacturing. So that's the logic of what we're trying to do, and that's the logic of what the Chancellor was aiming at on Monday.
I think that's absolutely right, actually, as well. We've got to deal with the symptoms as well. But I don't see anyone dealing with the fundamental problem. That's my concern. I agree absolutely. We've got to try and compensate for now the overreaction. Now people are spending too little. So I can see that, but we've got to make sure that the curing the symptoms, giving the ease that we need, doesn't make the problem worse, the disease worse. If my pneumonia isn't going to be cured by the cough medicine, I need them both dealing with. I need ease in the short term, but a cure in the long term. And it's a good opportunity, actually, now, to make some structural changes. I actually do really believe the Treasury, the FSA, have failed in managing our money supply. Now, they may have learnt lessons from it, but I don't see any evidence of that.
Just looking back, even if we don't look back to the 1930s, if we look back to the two recessions, the Tory recessions of the 1980s and 1990s,
oh, the worldwide recessions we then
had. Well, those recessions were very different. Because some of them were localised. This is a global recession. But the two recessions of the 80s and 90s, government was perceived to have sat back. Government didn't feel its role was to make the kind of fiscal changes that we've seen today. Was that really an option, do you think?
I think it's a different circumstance. I agree with you absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the surprising to me is that all the central banks have made the same mistake, which makes me think at one time maybe it isn't a mistake. But I think it is. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? The Americans got it wrong. The British got it wrong. The Europeans got it wrong. They've all got it wrong, but it doesn't make it right. In fact, they all got it wrong.
What about the solutions now? Let's look forward, as you say. Is 21 pence off a CD going to encourage people to go and shop in the high street?
Well, it will encourage some people, undoubtedly, and that's why it does produce 12 billion into the economy. So I think what you have to do is you have to look at the whole range of different things that we've done. So first of all, we've aimed at stabilising the financial system through providing the support for the banks, and the Bank of England have cut interest rates. So that's the first plank. Then the next plank is putting money into the economy, and that's partly the VAT cut, but it's partly the protection for people on low incomes through bringing forward the increase in pensions and child benefit. And then there are the support measures for businesses. So there's a package for small businesses, there's a package for more renewables and more insulation, which is partly driving some of the long-term things that John was talking about. We do need to get our carbon footprint down. We do need to reduce our dependency on the oil producers.
Fair
that
enough,
does really matter.
But the issue at the moment is people's confidence in their entire way of life. People are worried about their jobs. Whether they're going to go out and splurge at Christmas when they're worried about their jobs is surely a serious question.
Of course it is a serious question, and of course some people will lose their jobs, and of course some people's situation is uncertain and unclear. That's certainly true. But what I'm trying to say is that the measures that we have taken are measures which will minimise the impact so that we don't go into the kind of mega recession and mega slump that this country and in particular this region have seen in the past.
Can I just be one of the few people ever in the media to say that the £150,000 tax cut surely could do as much damage as it could do harm? Because, all right, you may cut no, I said tax increase, the
thought that's what you
45%
meant.
tax increase. That's
you
exactly
meant.
what I meant. But surely it could do as much damage as it could be good news for the revenue, because as well as hitting multi-millionaires, which are notorious for their high spending and the merchant bankers and their bonuses and so on, there's lots of smaller unincorporated businesses. If you're running an unincorporated business, I myself run an unincorporated business, you may make a profit of more than £150,000 and you'll be taxed on that profit, but quite a bit of the profit is kept in reserves to pay for investment in your business.
Well,
and that's going to be taxed at 45% now.
I think there are three things to say in response to that. First of all, as far as income tax is concerned for people earning over 100,000, I think in a tight situation it's only fair that the people with the broadest backs bear the biggest burden. As far as small businesses are concerned, I think the point you make is quite fair. And that is why we've delayed the increase in the small companies' corporation tax rate. Then
I'm talking about unincorporated businesses, Helen. Little shops, chains of shops, estate agencies, solicitors, accountancy practice, anyone in professional practice, PR firms like my own, advertising firms. All these unincorporated businesses are going to be taxed at 45%.
But you know as well as I do that you're going to benefit from the extra loans and the special arrangements that you can make to phase your tax payments. And then your third point was, are all these people going to whiz off abroad? Well, I don't think at the moment anyone's going to whiz off to New York. I don't think that these opportunities for whizzing round the world are where they were 10 years ago, because, as John said, this is a global problem.
Okay.